There are tons of operators, like greater than, that you can use in Boolean expressions. In this video, I'm going to go through a lot of them quite quickly. We're going to do some pretty advanced stuff, so don't worry if you don't understand it all the first time you watch this video. You won't need to use any of these operators in this project. This is all going to be bonus info, so you can skip this video if you want for now. If you do watch it, I'm hoping that you'll see that there's a lot that you can do with Boolean expressions. When you're working on a different project with Awesome Shield later, you might realize that Boolean expressions would help you solve a problem. Then you can come back to this video and see the details of how each operator works. We've already looked at the greater than operator. It compares two values and tells us if the first one is larger. There's an opposite operator to this called less than. It tells us if the first value is smaller. These operators are called greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. They're each 2 characters long, but when you put these characters in pairs, Arduino understands that each pair is a single operator. They're like greater than and less than, but with a twist. They'll also return true if the 2 values are equal. This operator is called is equal to. It becomes true when the 2 values it compares are the same. This operator is called is not equal to, and it's true when the 2 values it compares are not the same. Here are some Boolean expressions that use the operators we just looked at. We can use serial print line to look at Boolean expressions. I still have this sketch open from the last video. It's pretty perfect for playing around with Boolean expressions. Let's try printing an expression over serial to see what Arduino calculates it to be. Delete this input and put 3 is less than 4 as the input into the serial print line function. Then upload your code. Open the serial monitor and you should see a bunch of 1s. That's because this is a Boolean expression that Arduino calculates is true. Remember that with Boolean values, 0 is false and 1 is true. Okay, let's try changing the expression to 3 is greater than 4. And then upload the code again. Open the serial monitor, and you should see a bunch of zeros. So Arduino is calculating that 3 is greater than 4 is false, or 0, which makes sense because 3 is not greater than 4. Okay, we did the first one together. Take a look at the other expressions and see if you can figure out which are true and which are false. You can check if you're right by putting them as the input into the serial print line function and uploading your code. Pause if you want to try them out. I'll show you the answers next. All the operators we've looked at so far are for comparing numbers. There are other operators that you can use to compare Boolean values. And is one of those operators. It's 2 ampersands, or and signs, together. It compares 2 Boolean values and returns true only if both values are true. Since Boolean values can only be true or false, there are only 4 possible combinations of 2 Boolean values. Here they all are, being compared by an AND operator. It only returns true if both values are true. If either or both values are false, it returns false. Another way to think about all the possible pairs of Boolean values is in a table, where the first value is listed at the top and the second value is listed on the side. So here, the first value is true, and the second value is true. This means that AND returns true. If the first value is true and the second value is false, then AND returns false. Similarly, the last 2 combinations evaluate to false. This operator is called OR, and it's 2 of these vertical bars. OR looks at two Boolean values, but if either of them is true, it will return true. Try out some of these examples and see if you can figure out whether they are equal to true or false. Pause the video till you're done, because I'll show you the answers next. You can also double check your answers using the serial println function. AND returns true only if both values are true, and OR returns true if either of the two values are true. Okay, here's another cool thing. You don't have to use Boolean values as the two things that OR is comparing. You can use Boolean expressions. Here's what I mean. Here, we're comparing two different expressions. I'm going to make one expression purple and make the other one yellow to make them easier to identify. Sometimes it's helpful to work through these expressions using a piece of paper. I'm going to work through this one on the whiteboard so you can see what I mean. Try following along with a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil if you like. The purple expression, 3 is greater than 7, is equal to false. The yellow expression, 4 is less than 5, evaluates to true. So this whole expression is the same as false or true. And we know that if either value that OR is comparing is true, it'll return true. So this whole expression is equal to true. Take a look at some of these expressions and see if you can figure out what they will be evaluated as. You can try doing them in your head or on paper. Pause the video for as long as you need. Okay, ready to see the answers? Here you go. All the operators we've talked about so far look at two values or two expressions. There's a special operator called NOT that only looks at one value. NOT is a single exclamation mark, and it goes in front of the value or the expression that you want it to look at. It returns the opposite of whatever it sees. For example, if you put NOT in front of the toggle switch is on function in Arduino code, you create a simple Boolean expression that returns the opposite of what the is on function returns. So this expression is false if the toggle switch is on, and true if the toggle switch is off. Okay, one last thing. You might have learned in math class that there's a special order that operations are done in. First, anything in brackets gets calculated. Next, you calculate exponents. Then you do division and multiplication, moving from left to right. And last come addition and subtraction, also moving from left to right. Computers think the same way about math expressions. Let's do one together. 3 minus 2 times 7 plus 3. First, we start with the stuff in the brackets. 7 plus 3 is equal to 10. There are no exponents, so next we'll do multiplication and division. 2 times 10 is equal to 20. Last, we do addition and subtraction. 30 minus 20 is equal to 10. It's important to always follow the correct order of operations. If you don't, you can get an incorrect value when you evaluate an expression. The order of operations helps everyone get the same answer every time they evaluate the same expression. Boolean expressions have an order of operations too. You start off with brackets, just like in math expressions. Then comes the NOT operator. Next comes greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. Then we do is equal to and is not equal to. Next is and, or is last. Let's use this order of Boolean operations to look at longer Boolean expressions together. This one looks complicated, but the order of operations will tell us what to do. The first step is to do everything inside the brackets. Inside the brackets, we have two operations, is equal to and less than or equal to. So we use the order of operations again inside the brackets. The operation less than or equal to comes before the operation is equal to in our special order. So we do the less than or equal to operation first, even though the is equal to operation is farther to the left. So we start with 5 is less than or equal to 7. which is true. I'm just going to quickly center this new expression. Still inside the brackets, we only have one operation left. True is equal to true. This is a lot like saying 5 is equal to 5. The two values being compared are the same, so that evaluates to true. Now we only have one value inside the brackets, so we can get rid of them. Now we have another tricky bit. We have two operators left. We should do the AND first, even though it's farther to the right, because it comes first in our order of operations list. False and true evaluates to false. Now we only have two values and one operator left, so we're almost there. True or false evaluates to true. So the whole expression we had originally, the whole thing, is equal to true. Pretty neat. Okay, I know that was a ton of info, and kudos for getting to the end of the video. Don't worry if it didn't all make sense right away. You'll start to understand Boolean expressions better by using them in your code. You'll start off using simpler Boolean expressions, like sensor reading is greater than 30. At some point, you might want to start using some more complicated ones. And if you're unsure of something and need some examples, or want to hear them explained again, definitely come back and watch this video again.